For another Severance video. This is season 2, episode 6. My comments, my opinions, my observations. I'm not attached to the show in any way. I'm not getting paid for this, so I wish I was. And this is going off of my notes, and there's lots of them. Hopefully this video will still manage to be like around 15 minutes or less. We'll see, right? And it's kind of early in part because I feel guilty for the last video that was late. Anywho, what Helly saw when she was out during the escape was still not discussed or brought up, not even with Mark. Because it might, I doubt it'll be helpful, but it might be. And you guys are just going to let that go? I don't know. As Mark is talking to Ragabi about Gemma spouting the facts she stated in the hall, he is clearly rattled. It is unusual that it happened in the hall and not in wellness, which made it seem more like a like he was having a hallucination and it wasn't a memory. That's what it made what it seemed like because of the location, but I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong on that. Dylan not taking the note that Irving, the note that Irving left is hopefully somewhat sus to the other two. But the thing that makes the most sense is that he is trying to take no chances that he'd lose visits with his wife. Then on top of that, when he said, "You don't know everything," and Mark said, "Then tell us," he just walks off, which is not really a Dylan thing to do. So maybe they'll pick up on it. I don't know. Milchick's meeting with Miss Wang and telling her to sit at her regular desk was clearly meant to reestablish his position over her after her little stun and put her back in her place. But I think even with this threat of preventing her from graduating her fellowship and reminding her that it is up to him, she'll try something else and find a workaround to becoming Wintertide, whatever that is, like appealing to one of his superiors. I see that happening because I do not like that little wench. Despite what Milchick said, I'm surprised that Mark voluntarily told Helly about the rendezvous instead of it coming out as word vomit during a high-stress conversation, because this is usually how these things happen with Mark. Her reaction, especially when she was alone, suggests that she is in fact her Andy and not her outie playing pretend again. It seems like Dylan is learning that he and his outie are two different people and that his outie is far less impressive than he expected. The kiss, however, may be the catalyst to send him over the edge into full-on spy territory if he isn't already. Because just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it didn't happen yet. I think that Mark and any Helly sleeping together for real this time might spell trouble later, other than the company finding out about it, which is pretty much a guarantee. Though Milchick put on a front, it's clear that the little brat got under his skin, because not only did he gradually practice dumbing down his speech like a mantra, but after he paperclipped a ridiculously huge stack of papers in reference to the correct paperclip usage complaints, he was shaking as if full of terror and fear, because his hand was just going, and we've never seen that happen with him. Or anybody else that I can think of for that matter. Not only was the kiss in the hall too risky, but it was a way to shut down Helly's question of if their escapade was different from the one with her outie. I suspect that it was better with the outie because essentially any Helly was a virgin. It almost seems like Miss Wang, who in future videos might only be referred to as Little Brad, has a great deal of medical training for her assumed age, given her knowledge and verbiage, which completely invalidates the complaint about Milchick's use of big words. The average adult besides Mark doesn't know what a deviated septum is, nor uses the words, auras, hallucinations, consistent, occurred, or maintained in normal speech. But we already knew it was BS. Found it strange that Bert and Field's house was dark when Irving pulled up, especially compared to the house he was parked in front of across the street. If you flip back and forth, it looks like nobody was home. I think Fields was not confused on Severance being around for 20 years. The religious bend being the reason for Bert wanting to get severed smells of BS, and Fields might not even know the truth. The whole reason behind Irving being invited to dinner may have been just so Drummond could break into his apartment without the chance of getting caught. Yeah. I think Gretchen lied to Audie Dillon because she didn't want to have to explain anything to him and feels guilty for preferring his innie. Audie Helly just happening to be at the restaurant Zufu when Mark was felt like a fishing trip. Because like every other restaurant, every other time he went out to a restaurant, it was always Pips, whether the company was paying for it or not. And now he's at this different restaurant and she just happens to be there. Okay. I'm glad that stating that she is the head of the company didn't impress Mark, especially because if that were true, she probably wouldn't have to answer to her father at all, the one who has the title of CEO. She might even be smitten with Mark. Calling his wife by the wrong name was sick, and possibly her way of trying to make it seem as though she's not as entrenched as she actually is, under the assumption that he doesn't know any better. And I wonder if he had a flash of her from the office when they were standing, especially because he peeled off the way he did and immediately changed his mind about the experiment by the time he got back home. And now he's outed to his sister just what he's doing. Because he did leave her out in the dark as far as, you know, trying to figure things out and not telling her the truth about Ragabi. But I think it's Mark being Mark. He was trying to protect Ragabi, and also at the same time, you know, do everything that he needs to do, get his wife out of Lumen. But yeah, and Ragabi is very, you know, skittish anyway, naturally, because Lumen's after her. So it's probably going to be interesting how the relationship between those three develop. All right, that's all I got.